Welcome back to Great Lakes Junction, everyone. So we've got some fence repair to do. We had some storms in the past couple of weeks and some high winds, and took down a couple of sections of fence back here in the corner of the yard. We've got everything cleaned out of the area now. The old fence material's out. We've got a little bit of a cleaner area to work in. So we're going to lay out the distance where we want our post holes, and we'll get the holes dug. Originally these sections were 10-foot sections of fence, and the posts were cemented in. And I know fixing other areas of this fence that it's too hard to get that concrete out. So I bought 12-foot 2x4s and 8-foot 2x4s to make up my 20-foot length, but we're just going to move the post over, the main one in the center. We're just going to move it over 2 feet and change the size of the sections of the fence. You know, that little auger shovel, it works great, but when you hit a stone, not so well. So I need to get a pry bar so I can shove it down in there when I'm hitting a stone. I'm already hitting one now. So we got our trusty old wheelbarrow here. That's one bag of cement that we have in there. Okay. So we're going to call that mixed for the first bag. That's going to hold that post in a perpendicular manner while that cement starts to set up. We do need to add more cement yet, but as I said, we're only mixing one bag at a time. So we'll get another bag mixed up. We'll get the other one probably started in the ground like that, and then we'll just keep mixing and dumping in the holes. I was using the crowbar. It's the only thing I had around as a tamper, just to try and poke down into the wet concrete so it would release any air bubbles or pockets that might be caught in it. Well, we have our cement work done. So that was our first post hole that we had done there. That's our second one. There's 3 bags of cement in each of these holes. This one didn't quite come to the top because the hole was so much bigger, so the cement just spread out a little bit further. But they're done, they're in. It started raining on us again, so this area is just nothing but a mud hole again now. But everything is nice and straight, so we'll let this set. Day number 2. So our cement is set up enough that we can work with these posts now. So we just laid out our string line level across the bottom and put the bottom 2x4 in. Now we're going to figure out where we want the top one, put the line level across it, and we'll get the top one mounted. So the ground is very unlevel. Where the post is, the new post, the ground dips down there a long ways. You can probably tell by that 2x4 on the bottom how close it is to the ground on the right hand side compared to the left. So we're using 6-foot high fence boards. So I wanted to measure up from the ground to where 6 feet is going to be on that new post, so that we make sure we don't have a big gap underneath the fence boards once we install them there. So we started on that side putting the bracket up, then we put our line level up, and it's just a string, and there's a level you can buy. It's called a line level. It clips on to the string. So we'll do the same thing with the second section to the other new post that we put in. We're starting to take the old fence boards off the sections that came out of there. Okay, so we got our top 2x4s all up in place. So we're ready to start putting these fence boards back on. We've got enough of the old ones now taken apart, nails all pulled out, ready to go. So we're just going to work from the neighbor's side first and do all his side. So what we've done here, we took one of the fence boards that was already broken, and I cut this so it's 4.5 inches wide, nailed it to a scrap of 2x4, so we can put that up, slide it over to the fence board we've just put on. Next board comes up, butts up against that one, and that gives us our correct spacing that we want for in between the boards. And then when we do our side, we'll use the same spacer and we'll flip it around and do that. So because we changed the height of this top 2x4, you can see how this fence board is higher than this one, and the more we move to that end, the higher the ground comes up. So we're actually cutting a little bit off the ends of these old boards. We want them flush with the top of this 2x4, because we're going to lay a 2x4 flat as a cap over top of this, so we can't have these sticking up. So we've brought the saw down here now. It's nicer working down here in the shade. All our fence is all done. So those are the 2 sections that we had to replace. You can see that 2x4 cap I was talking about that we're putting on the top. Oh, I got to get out of the sun. And the other end, because we couldn't get all the cement out around the end post, we moved that post position. So we had a 2-foot gap from the last post to that chain link fence. So all we did was use some of the old 2x4s. We made up a frame, and we just nailed some boards on the neighbor's side so it's nice and neat over there on his side. So we can't really see this corner back here anyhow, so I don't care what it looks like on my side. So that's all we did, and then we nailed the 2x4 frame of that directly to the post, and that's what's holding it in place. So it turned out good. With us cutting the fence boards off a little bit at the top like that to keep them even, we were able to follow the contour of the ground there. You can see by that other post, there's a real dip in the ground, so we were able to keep that filled in so the dogs can't get under the fence and stuff like that. There's a sewer down here in this back corner. I'm not sure why, but most of these yards have one in the back corners of their yards. So that's why the ground's lower in that spot. So that's going to be it. We do have some more fence repair to do, but this was the section that was already blown down. We have one more to do right where we piled all this scrap wood from this fence. The post, there's a tree on the other side of the fence. It's hard to see there, but that post is a 2x4 that's temporarily screwed across the top. That post is actually busted off, and without that 2x4 screwed across the top, it leans way over. So we need to take this one all apart yet, dig one more hole, replace that post in there, and then put that section all back together. But it wasn't as critical because it's not already laying down, but we'll get to this one as well. So that's all for fence rebuilding. Thank you very much for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.